Hello and welcome to Autofocus. The vehicle we're going to be driving through today and talking to you in detail about is the new Citroen C3 Aircross. SUV that's been built on the same platform as the C3 and the E-C3. It is debuted its brand with an import in the C5 Aircross, which is a CBU, a completely built unit imported from their international operations. The C5 Aircross sort of established the brand Citroen for Indians, a brand which is relatively new and unknown, but it's become very recognizable now. It's now got its third vehicle specifically built for the Indian market. C3 Aircross is very different from the C3, a vehicle that we are increasingly seeing on the roads. This, of course, also is a petrol ICE vehicle. It's not got its electric avatar yet. It is due. But what we have here is the C3 Aircross, which is a very unique positioning in this above 4-meter length SUV segment. Now, this is a segment that has fierce competition. It has brands like the Hyundai Creta, the Kia Seltos, the Honda Elevate now, which we just drove last week. A lot of these are going to be competing with this C3 Aircross, a 4.3 meter about sized SUV. Its wheelbase is 2,671 mm. In fact, the wheelbase is even longer than the Honda Elevate, which is about 2,650 millimeters. Now, this is an SUV that's going to be competing with those kind of vehicles, and it's got to get its formula right. For Citroen, this is a very, very key product. It's going to be their third vehicle in the C-Cube platform, and the C-Cube there, of course, reflected in its nomenclature being called C3. There is going to be a fourth vehicle on the same platform, which will come in the next 2 years. What we have here is the C3 Aircross manual transmission variant. It only gets a manual as of now, but there is a plan to launch an automatic sometime within the next 1 year time frame. It will be available, but for now what you have here is the manual, and it's also uniquely positioned in that it's going to be a 5+2 seater, as Citroen likes to call it. Citroen says that it can be a 7-seater in a pinch if you just were to fold out the third row of seats. A third row in this segment is a little unique. It's not something that you've seen in the past. There is the Alcazar and the Kia Carens, both of which are bigger than this. With this kind of footprint, a 7-seater is a very unique positioning. Citroen says it's most likely to be used as a 5-seater, with the one odd occasion when you might need the versatility and practicality of a 7-seater configuration. So then the option to both remove the seats at the rear to increase boot space to about 511 liters of boot space, or to fold down the seat and get about 450 liters of boot space, while you can still have those two seats at the third row in folded down position. Let's get into the cabin. Let's drive this around the home of Citroen. We are in Chennai, and we're going to be driving this through the day today to give you all the details. A lot of those design cues that we've seen in the C3 and the E-C3, the Y-shaped split headlamps, entire front fascia being very, very familiar, the two-slatted line that runs through with the chevron logo of Citroen sitting right in the middle. This is larger though, much larger than the C3. It has a bigger footprint, a larger C-pillar that has been specifically constructed to provide that key SUV flavor and also that strength that is needed for a larger SUV of this class. This is a vehicle that's been specifically developed for markets like India. In fact, for now it will be only India, though it will make its way to other markets in South America and some of the other Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia. The plans are afoot, so it does feel somewhat like a smaller version of the C5 Aircross. The same goes with the bonnet slab, with that two dents on either side and what seeming like a power dome in the middle. Again, on the side, The 17-inch alloys mimic the C5 Aircross alloys that we've seen. A lot of these are intentional, meant to sort of draw your eye and compare it with their larger SUV in the portfolio. So the C3 Aircross gets that nice stance and that strength even at the rear, where the C-pillar is really thick. And of course the tail lamps have this sort of wedge shape and also have a nice LED signature. So they do remind you of the width of the C3 Aircross. From the rear, of course, the haunches are also strong, gives it that strong profile. And the more important thing is it's got a 200 mm ground clearance, giving you that direct association with the potential of it being an off-roader. As you can see from some of that dirt on the car, that we've had a little bit of fun driving it in slushy soil near the backwaters outside Chennai. The idea, of course, is to deliver the fact that this is potentially a little capable off-road, though it's not a four-wheel drive vehicle. It's not truly meant to be taken off-road, but yet it can handle a bit of that off-road conditions. Front gets a 20.5 approach angle degree and the rear gets a departure angle of 25 degrees. So that's quite substantial for a vehicle in this size class. So we've been driving the 5-seater C3 Aircross. This has got the conventional 5 seats with the rear bench seat and the 2 front row front driver and passenger seats, and of course it has a rear parcel tray. We're also going to be experiencing the 7-seater version, which has the option of 2 additional seats at the rear. This one, of course, offers a lot more legroom than the average sized SUV in this class. Now this is the trim variant strategy is as yet being unraveled. They have spoken about 4 or 5 trims that are available, and the base variant onwards is going to get the same 1.2 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. So from that perspective, in terms of power and performance, it's going to be similar across variants. What you would find, of course, is more trim options in the cabin. We're going to be discussing that. There is one thing that is going to be missing in this for now is a sunroof, and like I said, the automatic variant is due out sometime within the next 1 year. So let's talk a little bit about the interior of the new C3 Aircross. Classic Citroen looks a mix of very practical, user-oriented sort of features and design, and at the same time a little bit of French quirkiness that we've already seen in the C3 and the E-C3. Now again, like the exterior design, a lot of the interior design also is oriented towards trying to remind you of the CQ platform, and so some of the features are familiar. They are finished a little larger, maybe some of the features again sort of being proportionate with the size of the C3 Aircross, being larger. So in terms of the overall dashboard layout, the steering wheel, all very Citroen, very specific to the brand. So the classic Citroen chevron logo right in the middle of the steering wheel, flat bottom steering wheel which is leather wrapped. Also the seats are leatherette upholstery with a little bit of fabric on the backrest. 10.2-inch infotainment screen is the other highlight in the cabin when the moment I get in. 7-inch TFT digital cluster which has 3 different display modes. There's also the option of specifying the cabin with 2 different style of IP. What I'm driving right now is the 7-seater version with textured bronze IP. There is also the option of buying silver grey textured panel on the IP. 7-seater version, top trim of course, would be getting a dual air conditioner with the front air conditioner catering to the first 2 rows mostly, and there is a roof mounted air conditioner vent for the second and third rows that will make sure that the third row occupants are comfortable. Citroen, of course, saying that customer feedback has shown that the tropicalized air conditioner performance has been one of the highlights that a lot of customers have appreciated, and they're very certain that this dual AC setup for the 7-seater version will genuinely keep customers happy. Now, in addition to that, there is of course my liking physical knobs and controls for the air conditioner, so it's not a fully automatic air conditioner. But then again, how often are you going to be fiddling with your air conditioner? That's the other question to ask. The 10.2-inch screen gets connectivity options in the form of wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It also has the support for 35 different connected car features using an app. A lot of those smart features being fairly the kind of features that you would expect to see in a SUV from this segment. In addition, it also gets a lot of other features in the cabin that will sort of bring that sense of practicality. Space is a big factor, and absolutely the amount of legroom and headroom that this offers in the front row and the second row. There is so much room that there is absolutely no room for complaints. The third row is narrow two-seat configuration, so that is the 5+2, which is what Citroen likes to call it. And that place is certainly not very comfortable for adults. It's probably meant to be used more by children, or in the event of a short journey, small-made adults for sure can sit and find a decent amount of space. But with the third row in place, there's absolutely no space left in the luggage compartment in the boot. The boot otherwise offers 428 liters of space, with the third row seats folded, and about 511 liters of space with the third row taken out. Now that then is the cabin. These are the features that it's offering. What I missed in terms of the small niggly issues that I believe make the C3 Aircross sort of miss out on some of these aspects was, of course, the lack of a sunroof. I found the seats to be hinged a little too tall and high, though I'm sure a lot of customers in this segment will appreciate the amount of visibility that this offers. I would have liked the seats to have been hinged a little lower. That said, there is seat height adjustment available for the driver, though there is no seat height adjustment for the front passenger. There is also tilt adjustment for the steering wheel, so I do have the option of tilting the wheel to my most comfortable position, though it is not offering telescopic adjustment support. So those are some of the niggles. I truly believe otherwise in terms of what it does, the C3 Aircross does well, but that said, it still misses out on a little bit of that wow factor that some of these vehicles in this segment have managed to bring in. The other thing missing, of course, in the C3 Aircross are ADAS features, which are fast becoming a thing that is being offered by a lot of manufacturers. In fact, the vehicle we drove last week, the Honda Elevate, had quite a few ADAS features, so that's something that's missing in this. Like I said, there's going to be an automatic version of the C3 Aircross coming sometime within the next 6 to 8 months, and my guess is company is probably looking at loading up some of these features in the automatic variant. So in terms of safety, the new C3 Aircross as yet currently gets only dual airbags. It does not get as yet the 6 airbags base variant. That is likely to happen in the future. For now, that's what you get it. So the Citroen C3 Aircross, like the C3 itself before it, is being offered with the same 3-cylinder 1.2 liter petrol engine. Now the C3 had a non-turbocharged version and a turbocharged version. What we have here in the C3 Aircross, a larger, slightly heavier vehicle, is of course the turbocharged version. The turbocharged 1199cc engine is going to be the standard engine offered across all variants. The variant strategy is still unraveling, but it's likely to be on similar lines as with the C3, which then means that it will have something like a live feel and shine kind of nomenclature for the variants. There is a possibility of there being 4 variants, but for now what we're driving here is the 7-seater. Earlier today we were driving the 5-seater. This is the 5+2 as Citroen calls it, and we saw the versatility of engaging those 3 seats on the third row. This engine then is what it needs, because the turbocharged 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine certainly is the kind of output that a vehicle of this size class will need. It gets 110 PS of peak power and 190 Newton meters of peak torque. All of that 190 Newton meters of peak torque being available from as low as 1750 RPM. So on the road, the C3 Aircross does feel nimble. It is uncannily refined, if I can call it that, quiet, and the overall character is refined. Though it's a 3-cylinder engine, it's been well insulated. The cabin is fairly quiet, and even on high revs you don't quite get that gruff sort of rough and tumbly sort of sound from the 3-cylinder engine. The 3-cylinder character is very well masked. That said, it's pretty quick. It's also got the 6-speed manual gearbox that we saw in the C3 too. This 6-speed manual gearbox in the C3 Aircross, of course, is slightly different in terms of ratios and tuning. The overall powertrain character is very quick, nimble, and quite peppy, surprisingly. So the engine is quite peppy, and shift character is a little rubbery. I would have liked it to have been a little smoother for the gearbox. Gear shift throw is a little longer than I would have liked. But other than that, the powertrain character is very good. It is quite stable at high speeds, and my genuine feedback would be, after driving this through the day today, the highlight that Citroen has come to stand for is ride and handling, and that I'm happy to say is coming right through with the C3 Aircross to all of their 3 vehicles in the C-Cube platform in India, the C3, the E-C3, and now the C3 Aircross. I've been consistent with their delivery of a fairly refined ride and handling performance. That said, the overall stability on straight lines and into corners, of course, we didn't find way too many corners in this part of the world. We were driving down the East Coast Road leading to Pondicherry, and there are some of these nice wide turns and bends that we could sort of get into with the C3 Aircross and experience some of its steering character. I wouldn't say it's the most precise steering in the segment, but at the same time it does feel very stable and confident going into corners, and it's very sort of maneuverable in city conditions too. So taking U-turns, parking it into tight spots, all of that is not going to be a problem. Safety features wise, it is offered with the hill hold assist, it's offered with electronic stability program, tire pressure monitoring system. All of these are standard fitment. So that's the Citroen C3 Aircross, a vehicle that is very key for Citroen. Citroen, of course, officials are emphasizing the fact that they are here for the long term, that they are pumping in a lot more investments, already more than 2,000 crores to the India operations. They have an R&D center in 2 cities in India, another center developing software for global applications. And so Citroen, of course, going to great lengths to mention that India is one of their most important priority markets for now. So the C3 Aircross is a very important key product for Citroen in this market. This is going to be a vehicle that then sort of brings Citroen into a lot many more households. It's going to bring that brand a lot more prestige and the premiumness that it needs, and most important aspect, the aspirational quality that the Citroen brand needs to acquire for it to get deeper into this market. So now the Aircross, I'm hoping, will be priced extremely aggressively. My hope and guess would be that it should start from a sub 10 lakh rupee price bracket. The range could go all the way up to 15 lakhs or so. Potential for this vehicle exists, and this is one of the fastest growing segments in the Indian market. So for sure it has that potential. The vehicle will be available for bookings and in showrooms by September, and expecting deliveries to happen from sometime around October this year.